not easy. Being the only one at a young age, surviving and living for his dreams, he sacrificed what's left of him. His purpose in going abroad, aside from a secret mission, was to answer his life questions, especially the case of oppression in his motherland. Rizal left the Philippines on May 3, 1882 and boarded on SS Salvadera, with only his brother Pasiano knowing and his uncle Antonio Rivera's blessing. Bounded by using a passport of Jose Mercado, he brought along with him his baggage of disappointment during his days in the Philippines. As the SS Salvadera docked in Singapore on the 9th of May 1882, Rizal stayed in Hotel de la Paz for 2 days and later on transferred to another ship called Gemna. It left Singapore for Europe on the 11th of May 1882. After a long travel on May 17, 1882, he arrived at Punta de Gales. There, he was welcomed by the scenic view of Punta de Gales, and as he wrote in his travel diary, Punta de Gales is picturesque but lonely and quiet at the same time sad. On the 18th of May 1882 at 7:30 a.m. in the morning, he left Punta de Gales for Colombo. He arrived there in the afternoon and continued his voyage in the evening on that same day. He landed at Aden at about 8:30 a.m. on May 27, 1882. He described Aden to be the city that's hotter than Manila. After seeing the camels, Rizal was very amused for the first time in his voyage. On June 2, 1882, he arrived at Suez Canal that was en route to Marseilles. Rizal was impressed by the beautiful moonlight in the city of Suez, which reminded him much of his hometown Calamba. He eventually disembarked on the 11th of June 1882 and went around the city of Naples as accompanied by a guide. The first European ground he set foot on, the Italian city, was pleasing to Rizal's eyes for its business activity, the lively people, and the panoramic beauty it holds. At 10 o'clock in the evening of June 12, 1882, the bat anchored at Marseilles. There he visited the famous Chateau d'If, where Dantes, a hero of the Count of Monte Cristo, was imprisoned. He left Marseilles for Barcelona through an express train on June 15, 1882. Rizal crossed the Pyrenees and stopped for a day at the frontier town of Port Pau. On the 16th of June in the same year, at 12 noon, Rizal arrived at Barcelona and boarded in Fonda de España. Rizal's first impression of Barcelona, the largest city of Catalonia and Spain's second largest city, was unfavorable.
During Rizal's stay at Barcelona, he wrote an essay entitled Amor Patrio, which meant love of country. His next article was entitled Los Viajes, or Travels, and was followed by Revista de Madrid, or Review of Madrid. But the latter was returned because the publication was seized due to the lack of funds. On August 20, 1882, his article Amor Patrio was published in Diaryong Tagalog, a Manila newspaper edited by Basilio Teodoro. This was the first article he wrote abroad. Amor Patrio is a nationalistic essay written by Rizal in Spain's soil under his pen name, Laong Laan. It was published in 2 texts, Spanish and Tagalog. The Spanish being originally written by Rizal in Barcelona, while the Tagalog was a translation made by Manuel H. del Pilar. The reason for Rizal to go abroad was in order for him to continue his medical studies on September 2, 1882. He enrolled at the Universidad Central de Madrid. Along with Rizal's 2 courses, medicine and philosophy and letters, he also studied painting and sculpture in the Academy of Fine Arts in San Fernando. He also took lessons in French, German, and English under private instructors. He practiced fencing and shooting at the Hall of Arms in Sans y Carbonell as well. Rizal joined the Circulo Hispano-Filipino, an association formed by Filipino students composed of both Filipino and Spaniards. Upon the request of the members of this society, he wrote a poem entitled Mie Piden Versos, or They Asked Me for Verses in English, which he personally declaimed during the New Year's Eve reception of the Madrid Filipinos held on the evening of December 31, 1882. On March 1883, he joined Masonic lodge called Acacia. His reason for was to secure Freemasonry's aid in his fight in the Philippines. He then transferred to Lodge Solidaridad, where he became a Master Mason in November of 1883. The next years for Rizal was eventful. Rizal finished his medical education in June 1884 and was conferred the degree of licentiate in medicine. He passed all his subjects, leading him to Doctors of Medicine, but was only able to get his doctor's diploma in 1887, for he wasn't able to pay corresponding fees. On June 1885, Rizal was awarded the degree of licentiate in philosophy and letters by the Universidad Central de Madrid with the rating of excellent or sobresaliente in Spanish. Later on, Rizal went to Paris in Germany in order to specialize in ophthalmology. He chose this branch of medicine because he wanted to cure his mother's eyes ailment. Then came Dr. Louis de Weckert, a leading French ophthalmologist during the period. He is the leading authority among the oculists of France, who found Rizal such a competent student and made him as his clinical assistant. During Rizal's free time, he visited his fellow countrymen Pardo de Taveras, Trinidad Felix and Paz, and Juan Luna. Rizal also posed in canvas like the Blood Compact, in which he posed as Sikatuna, and in the Death of Cleopatra, wherein he dressed as an Egyptian.
February 1, 1886, he left Paris for Germany and arrived on February 3, 1886 in Heidelberg, a historic city in Germany, famous for its old university and romantic surroundings. He met Dr. Otto Becker, a renowned German ophthalmologist at the University Eye Hospital where he works. In November 1886, he arrived in Berlin. He was enchanted by the scientific atmosphere and the absence of racial prejudice in Berlin. He met Dr. Friedrich Jacor, a great scientist and author of Travels in the Philippines, one of the books he admired during his student days. He also met Dr. Rudolf Virchow, a famous German anthropologist and known to be a father of modern pathology. His reasons for staying in Berlin: first, to gain further knowledge in ophthalmology; second, to further his studies of sciences and languages; third, to observe the economic and political conditions of the German nation; fourth, to associate with famous German scientists and scholars; and fifth, to publish his novel Noli Me Tangere. One of Rizal's important letters to his sister Trinidad was written in November 1886 while he was in Germany. He praised and admired German womanhood in his letter. German woman is serious, diligent, educated, and friendly, Rizal told his sister. She is not frivolous, gossipy, and troublesome. On another note, Noli Me Tangere was published in Berlin in 1887. The bleak winter of 1886 in Berlin was his darkest winter because no money arrived from Columba and he was flatly broke. The diamond ring which his sister Saturnina gave him was in the pawn shop. It was memorable in the life of Rizal for two reasons. One, it was a painful episode for he was hungry, sick, and despondent in a strange city. Two, it brought him great joy after enduring so much sufferings because his first novel, Noli Me Tangere, came off the press in March 1887. Maximo Viola, Rizal's friend from Bulacan, arrived in Berlin at the height of Rizal's despondency and loaned him the needed funds to publish the novel, The Savior of Noli. On February 21, 1887, the Noli was finally finished and ready for printing. The name of the printing shop was Berliner Buchsdruckerei Action Gesellschaft, a printing shop which charged the lowest rate, that is 300 pesos for 2,000 copies of the novel. Noli Me Tangere came off the press on March 21, 1887. The title of the book is a Latin phrase which means touch me not. It was not originally conceived by Rizal, for he admitted taking it from the Bible.
After the publication of Nole, Rizal planned to visit the important places in Europe, and Dr. Maximo Viola agreed to be his traveling companion. At the dawn of May 11, 1887, Rizal and Viola, two brown-skinned doctors on a running spree, left Berlin by train. Spring was an ideal season for travel. Their destination was in Dresden, one of the best cities in Germany. They enjoyed hospitality of Blumentritt's family. The professor's wife, Rosa, was a good cook. She prepared Austrian dishes which Rizals liked very much. Blumentritt proved to be a great tourist as well as hospitable host. He showed the scenic and historical spots of Limeritz to his visitors. The burgomaster or the town mayor was also amazed by Rizal's privileged talent. Rizal and Viola visited the historic city of Prague. They carried letters of recommendation from Blumentritt to Dr. Wellcome, professor in University of Prague. Rizal and Viola visited the tomb of Copernicus.
May 20, they arrived at Vienna, capital of Austria-Hungary. They met Nordenfels, one of the greatest novelists in that time. They stayed at Hotel Metropole. They also met two good friends of Blumentritt, Masnier and Nordmann, and Austrian scholars. May 24, Rizal and Viola left Vienna on a river boat to see beautiful sights of the new river. And as they traveled along the famous river, Rizal observed keenly river sights. And from there to Munich, where they sojourned for a short time to savor the famous Munich beer. They stayed from June 2 to 3, 1887 and continued tour to Basel, Bern, and Lausanne. Rizal and Viola left Lausanne in a little boat crossing the foggy Leman Lake to Geneva. On June 19, 1887, his 26th birthday, Rizal threatened Viola to a blowout. Rizal and Viola spent 15 days in Geneva. On June 23, they parted ways. Viola decided to return to Barcelona while Rizal continued his tour to Italy. Rizal received sad news from his friends in Madrid of the deplorable conditions of the primitive Igorots who were exhibited in this exposition. Some of these Igorots died. Rizal was outraged by the degradation of his fellow countrymen. He visited Turin, Milan, Venice, and Florence. On June 27, 1887, he reached Rome. He was thrilled by the sight and memories of the eternal city, Rome. On June 29th, Rizal visited for the first time the Vatican, the city of the popes, and the capital of Christendom. After a week of staying